Hey everyone, and welcome. Ever been watching a movie and a character eats something and you just kind of feel like that meal mattered? Well, today we're going to dive into exactly that. We're going to explore how food in a screenplay can be so much more than just fuel. It can be a clue, a symbol, even the engine of the entire plot. Let's get into it. This image right here really gets to the heart of it. The idea sounds simple, doesn't it? But it's actually incredibly deep. What a character puts on their plate can tell you everything about them, who they are, what they're secretly going through, and sometimes even where the whole story is about to go. It's a technique that's working on a bunch of different levels at once, and we're going to break down how you can use it.
All right, so here is our game plan. First, we're going to define what we're even talking about when we say food in a scenario. Then, we'll sink our teeth into a killer case study, the dumplings from the movie Old Boy. After that, we'll break down the 3 big jobs food can do in a story, and we'll wrap it all up with some key takeaways for all you writers out there.
So, what are we really talking about? Look, this is way beyond just showing characters grabbing lunch. You know how writers use props to tell you about a character? Think of this as a supercharged version of that. We're just focusing on one of the most powerful and honestly overlooked props there is: food. Let's just call it character's food. And the most important thing to remember is that this is a deliberate choice by the writer. It's not random, it's a specific food that gets tied to a character, and it's doing a ton of work behind the scenes. It can show you their personality, their daily routines, their social class, and, like we'll see, it can literally become the engine that drives the entire story forward. Okay, theory is great, but to really get this, we need to see it in action. And I honestly can't think of a better example in modern film than the fried dumplings from Park Chan-wook's masterpiece, Old Boy. Seriously, this one food item is a masterclass in efficient storytelling.
All right, quick setup for anyone who hasn't seen the movie. We've got our main guy, Oh Dae-soo. He's kidnapped and thrown into this weird hotel-like room, and he's stuck there. He has no idea who put him there or why he's there. He's just gone for 15 years.
And just imagine this. For 15 years, that's over 5,000 days, the only thing he eats is fried dumplings. 3 times a day, they just slide a container through a slot in his door. That's it. That food is his only connection to another human being, his only comfort, and the only single thing that's constant in his absolutely insane, nightmarish reality. So this brings us to the big question, right? For the character, yeah, it's just food to stay alive. But for us, the audience, and for the writer, is it just food? Of course not. In the hands of a great storyteller, these dumplings are about to become so much more. Okay, so let's really break this down. We're going to deconstruct how this one simple food item, the fried dumpling, manages to pull off 3 totally different and totally crucial jobs within the story. It's pretty amazing when you see it laid out. So here are the 3 big functions. First, the dumplings act as a vital clue. Second, they're a metaphor for the character's own state of being. And third, they're a functional plot device that's actually used by the villain. Let's take a look at each one. So when Oh Dae-soo is finally suddenly released, what's his #1 mission? Find the prison, find out who did this to him. And what's his only lead? The taste of those dumplings. So he goes on this incredible quest, going to every single restaurant in the city, tasting their dumplings one by one until he finds the exact match. The food is literally the key that unlocks the whole mystery. But it gets deeper than that. The food also works as a metaphor. There's this moment where Oh Dae-soo bites into a dumpling and finds something wrong, an impurity in the filling. Now that's not just a random detail. It's a brilliant visual way of showing us, the audience, that Oh Dae-soo's own past isn't so clean, that there's a hidden, messy secret in his own life. This is such a cool concept because it's pure visual storytelling. The state of the food mirrors the state of the character's soul. You know, a perfect, pristine dish might suggest a character who's got it all together, maybe they're wealthy or obsessive, but a messy, impure one hints that their life is just as complicated and corrupt. The food tells a story without a single line of dialogue. And now for the final genius twist. The dumplings aren't just a tool for our hero, they're also a tool for the villain, Lee Woo-jin. How does Oh Dae-soo actually find the right restaurant? Because the villain wants him to. He intentionally leaves a clue from the delivery service on the packaging. He's using the very food that kept Oh Dae-soo alive to control him, basically turning the dumplings into a remote control to guide his enemy exactly where he wants him to go. And this is it's just brilliant writing. It shows you how layered this technique can be. For Ode Sue, the dumplings are a breadcrumb trail leading him back to the truth of his past. But for Lee Woo-jin, he's the one strategically dropping the breadcrumbs. The exact same object is a key for the hero and a leash for the villain. It makes the story so incredibly tight.
Okay, so let's wrap this all up. Why does any of this matter to you as a writer? Well, because this isn't just some cool trick from one specific movie. This is a fundamental principle of storytelling that you can apply to literally any story you're working on to make it deeper, richer, and more compelling. So here's the bottom line. The food you give your characters can define who they are. It can work as a metaphor for their internal state, and it can be a practical, functional tool to actually push your plot forward. Your job is to find that perfect food for that perfect character and use it in the perfect spot to really make your story sing. So as we finish up, I'm going to leave you with this one question to think about for your own writing. It's not just about what your characters say or what they do. It's also about what's on their plate. So go ahead and ask yourself, what food is going to tell their story?